Hey everyone, it's Sir Harry. Welcome back to World of Tanks. Today I'm going to look at a tank that I looked at a little over a year ago when I first started my channel. In fact, it was one of the first full reviews I ever did. It's the Tier 5 German medium tank, the Panzer III-4. If you watched that video, you know that I really liked that tank back then. In fact, I liked it a lot better than the Panzer IV-H. And you know what? A couple of patches ago, Wargaming gave this thing a buff, actually a couple of buffs that make it even better than it was back then. I think this is probably the best all-round Tier 5 medium tank in the game today. What makes it so good? Well, a few things haven't changed. It's still really fast, 55 kilometers an hour top speed, and it's got a 23 horsepower per ton specific power, so it gets up to that top speed pretty quick. It's got a 38 degree per second hull traverse, so you can circle around targets, you can pick them apart with your very fast firing gun. The gun itself isn't the best in the game, I will say. The accuracy is not great, 0.39, and it does have a 2.3 second aim time, which isn't bad, but even if you fully aim, the accuracy can let you down a little bit. So what are these buffs we're talking about? Well, most importantly, the reload of this gun was cut from 4.12 seconds down to 3.84 seconds. That's a great reload. That's the base reload. You have a good crew in this and you add a gun rammer, you'll actually reduce that even further. And that takes the overall damage per minute of this tank from 1600 up to 1720. That's phenomenal for a Tier 5 medium tank. Doesn't have the best penetration, 110 on the base rounds and 110 damage, which is about what you'd expect at Tier 5. But the fast rate of fire lets you pick your targets apart quickly and get back into cover with that powerful engine. It did get a bit of a buff to hit points. It went from 440 up to 480. The armor, the Panzer III-4 here in tanks.gg, and of course the base armor is really no different than what you remember from the old version. But what is new, of course, are these skirts, the spaced armor around the turret and the hull. So you can see that adds about 5 millimeters of spaced armor, which will eat up heat shells and diminish some of the damage from high explosives. But the base armor itself, we've still got 80 on the front of the glacis there, the top glacis, very well angled. About 133 effective if you're side scraping like that, and about 111 if you're head on. The lower plate, unfortunately, is only 60 millimeters, still with a bit of an angle, so you get sort of 85 to 95 millimeters effective. If you are using the gun depression, though, of course, that flattens out and you'll get about 70 millimeters of effective armor. Now, if we go to the live model here, you'll see that angling the side, you may get the appearance that, yeah, you know what, I can side scrape with this, and I'm going to get auto ricochets. You can see there the purple coloring. Unfortunately, that's only 30 millimeters of armor still on the sides, and that means anything that's 90 millimeters or more is going to be able to overmatch. So Hellcats, and certainly anything with a Russian 122 millimeter gun will have no problem going through that, no matter how well angled you are. And of course, you still have this cupola on top. It isn't a weak spot in the sense that everything can go through it, but if you hit it square on, 95 millimeters on the main part, and of course that little sliver on top is only 30 millimeters. So a very lucky shot will be able to penetrate that potentially with high explosives. So let's get right into the action here. We're going to start off with a Tier 5 match. We are on Westfield. You can see, as usually happens in a medium tank, you spawn down in the bottom, in the lower ground there. We're on the east spawn, and I think it's imperative that you get as many tanks as you can up to the top of the hill. This game is won or lost in the northwest corner on those ridges and in that sort of T-shaped town there. And what will invariably happen, especially in a lower tier game, is a lot of tanks that spawn down the bottom will all lemming down the east side of the map towards that southeast corner, and you waste a lot of firepower because you sit behind hills there, you're looking for opportunistic shots, but your firepower, your gun's just not put to use. And you've got to win this high ground up at the top, because if you dominate this high ground and clear that town out, then you'll be able to pick apart whatever's left of the enemy team near their spawn and on the southern end of the map, where you can see those two enemy tanks just popping up right now, the T-28 and the Look. So even though I'm in a medium, I am coming up to this northern area here where the heavies usually battle it out, and I want to try to give my team a hand with this fast rate of fire, and the good gun depression that this tank has makes it ideal for this kind of ridge fighting. So we spot a Marder 38T, Tier 4 German tank destroyer, very high rate of fire, actually a very dangerous little TD. Of course, it has no armor whatsoever, but if it can find a spot where it can pick you apart, it will have no problems doing so really quickly. And there's a Covenanter, Tier 4 British light tank, and I got 2 shots into him and then ram him to death. I do take a little bit of damage and track myself, but you know what, that's fine. And you can see a Lux pops over the hill there, and the Lago there, the Tier 4 Swedish tank, both shooting at me. I do take some damage, but I think that was worthwhile, and in fact the Lago gets taken out by my team. I actually like the Lago. That was a great little Tier 4 medium Swedish tank there, and probably one of the stronger tanks in that line, certainly amongst the mediums anyway. So I've lost some hit points. I'm going to come back around to the top here, try to help my team out. You can see most of the enemies clustered up in that northwest corner, And again, we're going to pop over here, try to use this gun depression to give this Churchill 1 some support. You see he's not doing too well. I take a shot at the M4, and again, the accuracy on this gun is not great. I wasn't fully aimed, but there you see I let her aim in, and I do manage to pick off that little sliver of his turret that was popping up above the hill. So now the Lux is up there, and you can see the enemy actually has a lot of Luxes. They've got 3 of them on their team. Very dangerous tier 4 German tank. And if it can get around behind you, it can pretty much pick apart almost any tank it's going to see, at least at tier 4 or 5, with that auto cannon it's got. Of course, it does have a long reload, so it doesn't have a chance to defend itself while it's reloading, so it has to kind of shoot and scoot. You can see now the coast is clear. Most of the enemy are further up to the north, so I figure it's safe to take off after the Lux, and we're actually going to try to take them out. And there we go, another ram. That's 2 ram kills in the same game. You can see the M4 was following me there, but I think he thought the better of it. He's back behind the hill there, trying to fend off my team. Can I get him? I get 1 shot into him. Can I get the kill? No, he gets taken out first. This has a high rate of fire, but not that high. So now the enemy artillery's stunned my crew. Didn't really do a lot in the way of damage, but I'm just going to let my crew heal because I don't need to shoot at anything right now, and I'm not in danger of getting shot. So I'm just going to head down here, see what we can see, and try to spot this artillery, and there we go. It's always a great game when you manage to get in the enemy rear and start picking apart the arties. So we've got the M41, 2 shots, and he's out of the game. Let's see what else we can find. There's still 2 artillery pieces out there. You can see the enemy Lux and the Panzer IIIJ are still alive in the southeast. Not too worried about them right now. The Lux might wreak some havoc with our artillery, but I don't think he's going to be able to swing the game. So Panzer IIIJ heads down to the ridge just north of the spawn. He's going to get taken out quickly. There's the Grilla. Can we get the kill on him? Let her aim in, aim, shoot. I shoot a bit early, and yeah, it goes wide. I track him. I don't get any damage. I do get a damaging shot in just as he fires, and then my teammates take him out. So that 1 errant shot cost me a 2nd artillery kill, which always makes my game a little bit sadder, even though this is going to be a good result, and I'll be happy with this one. So we're going to take off. There's the T-28. Again, I tried to snap a shot. That was terrible. I didn't give him anywhere near enough lead. I obviously should have stuck my aim reticle out in front of him a little more to the left there. We do put a shot into him on the move, and you can see I've got auto aim going because I want to focus on my driving. I angle my tank there. He bounces off the front sloped armor on my hull. I do go up over a ridge here, and I donk a shot into the ground, and my teammates get the kill there. So that probably cost me another kill. And so, yeah, I could have had 5 right now, but that's all right. We're doing pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with this. And now we're just going to head into the cap circle. I'm not chasing a Lux around the map because I'll never catch him. He's much faster than I am, and if he does get in close to me, again, he could circle around behind me and empty that really dangerous autocannon into my rear armor. So we're just going to sit here on the cap, ride it out. Maybe he'll make an appearance, maybe he won't. But yeah, as it turns out, he does get killed, and we manage to not cap out, but we do win the game. So on to the battle results. Ace tanker, fighter for 4 or more kills, high caliber, and I platooned up with a teammate who also had 3 or more kills for the brothers in arms. 1,547 damage and 1,121 base XP was enough for the ace in the Panzer III-4. You can see I only hit 13 of 22 shots, at accuracy letting me down 12 pens, and I did manage to make a 38,000 credit profit with a premium account. So let's get on to our second match. That was a tier 5 on Westfield. Now we're playing in tier 7 with the big boys. And you can see the enemy's got a couple of pretty scary tanks, especially that Su-152. I do have some thin armor, especially on the side of this tank, and I don't want that 152 millimeter high explosive round catching my side, because if it goes in, I'm pretty much out of the battle. We're going to head up to, of course, where else? If you're in a fast medium on Airfield, you want to go to the little ramp just to the west of that defile there, where all of the heavy tanks go. That's a great spot, a very powerful position. You can dominate at parts of that southern little plateau there. And of course, you can get shots up towards the enemy cap as well. You can see actually my team's got a pretty good dispersion here. We've got some mediums and TDs down to the south, and of course the heavies heading to that little gap in the middle there where the heavies always fight. So there's a T-67, very dangerous American TD, and I snap a shot off. Unfortunately, he backs up and the shot goes wide. So you can see the enemy sent several tanks up to that middle plateau. In fact, quite a bit. They're rushing that area. Luckily, we've got those TDs back there, including a top-tier tank destroyer, the E-25. That pretty overpowered premium German tank destroyer that thankfully is not available in the premium shop all the time, because it's it's just a crazy little thing with incredible shot output and damage output. So I'm going to sit here. You got to be patient in this position. Of course, if you get spotted, you have to back up. And there we go. There's a Crusader. He pops out from behind that wall there. Aim, 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 and there we go. So I'm putting some shots into him. Can I get a 3rd shot in before he backs up? I do shoot, but it misses. I'm trying to track him here, and there we go. I managed to get a third shot in. So I've taken off most of his health. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to track him because that could have frozen him in place there. So I wasn't spotted. That's fantastic. And you see now I'm popping out, and there's the Su-152. All right, let's see if we can get some shots into him. First shot's a ricochet. Only 110 millimeters of penetration on this gun. Second one's a ricochet, and we'll put a blind shot in. That looks like it probably hit him, hopefully in the side as he was backing away behind cover there. So again, luckily I was not spotted. You can see there is a French Tier 5 heavy tank there, the BDR, but he's down in defilade there. I can't get shots in on him. And when I do stick out here, of course, my biggest worry is that Su-152. See, my Artie's taking a pot shot and where he might be. Again, it's a top tier, very dangerous tank destroyer. My team wants to get him out of the action as quickly as possible. So things seem to be holding okay. The enemies lost most of their tanks. In fact, there you go. They've lost all of their tanks. They rushed the southern plateau there. You can see the combination of TDs and, of course, that E25 rush forward and just put that absolutely withering rate of fire to use before he gets taken out by the enemy artillery. So the south is pretty much wide open now. We do have it covered, though. And we seem to be doing pretty well in the middle as well. You can see we just took out another enemy tank. So you know what? Now it's time to move. I have to be careful because that 152 could be up there in the bushes. I just might not have spotted him. But luckily, our 152 is actually pushing forward there. You can see that. And I would expect he would take a shot at him before taking one at me, where that's a much more high-value target there. So he's now exchanging rounds with the Skoda T25, the last of the enemy tanks there down in the south. That's a great little Czech autoloader there. Only 3 shots in the autoloader, but it does reload pretty quickly rather, and yeah, that's a lot of fun. I do go through the enemy cap circle here. I do get my position away, unfortunately, but I don't think it's going to matter. There's one enemy artillery, and yeah, you know, at the end of the battle, that's what I want to be doing, is killing Artie. So 2 shots, and it's going to take a third. There we go. Took out one of the enemy Arties. There's still a couple left. I would absolutely love to be able to take them both. There we go. There's another one. He's racing down at me now. I'm not sure what he thinks he's doing. His traverse speed's not very good. And I've got, again, this super high rate of fire. He lobs a shot over my head. And luckily that didn't connect with me. So we're going to head back up into the position he was in. And there you go. There's the 3rd Artillery. And that's the big dangerous German Tier 7 there, the GW Panther. And I see if I can get the gun depression. No, I can't get a shot away at him. But he's driving towards me. That's not a smart move on his part. If he'd stayed back, he might have been able to get a shot up at me if I poked over the ridge. But by coming towards me there, he basically put himself in out of action. Essentially, he couldn't bring his gun to bear on me. And there you go. You can see my own artillery, the M12, manages to shoot me. So that was just awesome at the end there. Nothing like taking team damage at the end as everybody scrambles for the last bit of damage in the game. If you were watching the chat, you may have noticed that M12 player was spewing some pretty crappy, pretty terrible stuff there. It sounds like a bit of a racist douchebag. And so if he gets fined a few credits for damaging me, then I guess I'm not too worried about that. I guess a bit of karma. So there's the enemy Su-152, and I managed to take him out. So now there's just 2 enemy tanks left in the game, the T-25AT and the Hellcat. Of course, the Hellcat, fantastic Tier 6 American TD with a really, really powerful gun. Of course, it's been nerfed several times over the years, but it's still pretty dangerous. And yeah, that T-25AT, there he is. Not the greatest tank destroyer in the world, but he does have a very punchy gun. And you can see now the Panzer III-4 is going to put its speed and traverse to work and the fast rate of fire. And I'm just going to run rings around this guy. He does not have a hope. Because I can turn so much quicker and shoot so much quicker, we take out the last of the Tier 7 tanks. Now, can we get the Hellcat? Let's see what we can do here. Coming around the corner, and no, just as I get there, one of my teammates takes him out. So great game all around by my team. We managed to dominate that one pretty well. Ace Tanker, another fighter medal, and of course the Piscucci's my favorite medal. It's only for killing 2 already now. It was better when you had to kill 3 to get it, but that's fine. 1494 damage, 1,212 base XP, and I hit 21 of 27 shots. I aimed a little bit more on that one, or I was closer in when I was snapshotting, unlike the last game, so I had a better hit percentage than the first match. So that's the Panzer III-4. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Is this the best Tier 5 medium tank in the game now after the recent buffs, or is there another one you like? Of course, the M4 Derp is one of everybody's favorites, but it's a bit of a one-trick pony novelty tank. I think this thing holds up much better, especially in Tier 7 battles, with the mobility and the fast rate of fire. This is Sir Harry. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Please consider clicking like and clicking subscribe, and cheers.